What's up, everybody? Welcome to a festive edition of this here Games Up.
Yay!
Hello.
Christmas is here.
First thing to note is our audio quality has hopefully gone up considerably since the last time you heard us.
We would hope.
All
all this fancy equipment would be for nothing otherwise.
So hopefully you won't be able to hear any more creaking floorboards as we shift about. Hopefully that makes it a little nicer to listen to. My name is Cameron McCulloch-Keeble. I'm one of the three hosts of this show, and I'm joined this week by Lawrence Titley.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm doing just wonderfully.
We are back and in the same room again from university. Well, you're back from university.
I'm back from university.
You are back from university. And we are going to do an episode of the show. And we start the show, as always, with the news. How many items do you think are on this week's news list?
I'm going to say, since there's been a gradual decrease in the number, I'm going to say there's maybe 2.
Maybe 2?
Yes.
Okay, what would do you think those would be?
I don't know. I mean, either I'm saying it's been quiet or I haven't been paying attention to the news.
Or
Either
both.
is possible.
It's 5. You weren't far off. It's 5.
Okay.
The first one is a very, very happy one. Rocket League by Psyonix have announced that they have made $50 million from the various sales and DLCs and things that they have received after getting quite a lot of fame from PlayStation Plus. This is impressive because the game cost $2 million to develop, meaning it's made 25 times its cost back.
So what we're saying here is you can actually spend not as much and still get mad returns.
You can.
Well then, wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's
Good on them.
A festive thing. It's a Christmas miracle.
Merry Christmas
Yes.
indeed. A Christmas miracle. Speaking of Christmas miracles, Konami is seeking new developers to partner for their next Metal Gear game.
Well, that's interesting.
That is kind of interesting. So
It's ambitious that they're going to try and do a Metal Gear game now that Kojima's gone.
he is indeed. More on that in a minute or two. On the career page of Konami's Japanese website, they've announced that they are actively seeking professionals to help develop a new Metal Gear. Not just a new Metal Gear, but new Metal Gear, in quotes. New Metal Gear.
Is that going to be like regular new metal? Like new folk?
Well, like Linkin Park new Metal Gear.
Yes.
So yeah, this is pretty interesting. Konami made it pretty clear around the time of 5 that they didn't consider the franchise dead, despite the fact that they do consider Kojima dead.
Which is odd, given that he conceived it, and I mean, other people have done Metal Gears.
Yes,
And
yeah.
whether they've been good or not is a matter of much subjectivity.
Mm-hmm.
But I would generally say that it would probably be a very stupid idea if Konami tried to undertake carrying on Metal Gear past Kojima.
So, the obvious thing that comes to mind is the game that released fairly recently. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance Reverends or something?
Ninja Cyborg.
Ninja Cyborg.
Flip outs.
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was developed by an alternate studio and not under the helm of Kojima. So maybe Metal Gear.
Was it Quentin Flynn who... What do you call it? Raiden was traditionally voiced by Quentin Flynn, but I don't know whether Quentin Flynn carried on his role.
That's a
as
good
Raiden
question.
in
I
the
don't know that.
Apparently he was completely insufferable to work with, and in some degrees completely wrecked the... at least the Raiden character.
So if you're listening to this, Quentin Flynn, we'd love to talk to you.
We'd love to hear your side. I honestly don't know that much about the, as it were, the inner gears working.
That is a good question. I'm trying to look it up as we speak. But it's interesting to wonder what Metal Gear will be in the next few years, if we see it in the next few years. Do you think that they can keep going down the whole stealth action the way that Kojima kind of perfected it?
Well, I would say it's not... I wouldn't really
Yes,
say,
it was Quentin Flynn.
in
Sorry.
all of Revengeance.
Yes, in Revenge.
Revengeing.
Yeah.
Well...
There you go.
In any case, I don't know. I mean, I'd say that the characters have... it isn't really a character drama because the characters have been swapped in and out of various Metal Gear games, and it's arguable to say whether there's that much of a difference because in canon and out of canon they're pretty similar in characteristics.
Yeah.
But I would say it's really the thing that unites them is the particular gameplay. So if it stops being that gameplay, I would say it stops being a Metal Gear game.
That's very true.
Like I'd say Revengeance wasn't.
Okay, I see what you mean. I think one of the really interesting things that could come out of this is if it is really good. Because if Metal Gear 6 comes out and, for example, it's like a very similar premise to Metal Gear 5, and it is really good, what sort of knock-on effect does that have from what we expect from Kojima and what we sort of hold up to be Kojima's standards?
Well, all of a sudden, Konami would turn out not to be the really incompetent guys who can't organize their way out of a paper bag.
Yeah.
That would have to change if miraculously this turned out to be good. But if it turned out to be better than anything that Kojima had in Kojima's reign of Metal Gear, that would be interesting for implications for Kojima.
I'm not suggesting that it could be better, but it would be interesting if it turned out to be.
I mean, we've talked a little bit about our various different opinions on Kojima's. Yeah.
Having now played Metal Gear Solid for a solid a couple hundred hours, not a fan. Love the game. Not necessarily the biggest fan of Kojima.
We really need to get like Lewis in to have a proper.
We could do a review of Hideo Kojima. Number 3. Speaking of Hideo Kojima, he's free.
Huzzah! Free bad.
He is a free man. He's out on the outside. He's come out into the light. He's got like
Blinking.
a dishevelled beard. He's like Brooks was here. But he set up an independent studio called...
What is it called, Cameron? Tell us what it's called.
The most imaginative name in gaming. Kojima Productions. And he's working with PlayStation to make his first game a console exclusive on the PS4. He is contractually obliged to not speak about Konami, which is kind of basically a confirmation that Konami were the shits here.
Yeah.
Because if Kojima was the one who was actually causing all the problems internally and they were just not speaking about it to be safe, now would be the time when Konami would come out and say, turns out actually he was kind of running us dry and we had to get rid of him. But the fact that Kojima's the one who's being told, you can't go to the Game Awards, you can't do this, that, the other, it's sort of shooting themselves in the foot.
All the points towards...
Yes.
It seems to be that... I mean, we already knew that Konami was pretty...
being a shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't really know a great deal more about what Kojima is going to make. There's a mention in the sort of announcement video of Mech Gears, but that sort of could mean anything. Kojima's...
Mecha Gear Solid.
Kojima as a creator is fairly sort of focused between that and his obsession with America. That kind of summarizes what he does, so that could really mean anything.
Well, he might just like he did before, when he got onto Metal Gear, to have a complete change in direction and game philosophy.
Maybe.
I mean, he's a bit old for that sort of thing, but it's
all
possible.
But that's the thing. All of this is pure speculation, and it will continue to be so until whatever time we see this game.
I'll be honest. I'm not quite sure what was announced when they said that he was working with Sony.
So it was announced that he was working with Sony. There was a huge sort of wondering as to where he would go, because there were rumors flying about that were published by Funhouse through the know that Microsoft had tried to buy various assets and things from Konami, and so there was wondering whether Microsoft were going to, because they have money to burn.
Has Konami has Kojima walked away with many assets?
Who knows? He's not walked away. I imagine he's walked away with. He's taken the dev team. I know that, but I imagine they were going to go anyway. So I imagine he's probably got people, and that's about it.
He hasn't got any IP with him.
I doubt he's got any IP. I imagine anything he has. This is the cleanest of the clean slates. What is interesting though is if you watch the video where they announced it, the way he talks about Sony is really interesting. He talks about how he's worked with them many times, and PlayStation was important for Metal Gear. And then he kind of says, and they're a stable company, and that is what I need right now. And it's his way of saying, without saying, please don't hurt me. So yeah, Kojima is free. We don't really know anything, and we know he's making a game. I think it's kind of a shame it's a console exclusive, but console exclusives suck left, right, and centre. So, cool. I hope we see it in not too many years, and it doesn't cost bajillions of dollars to make.
Indeed, that's all we can hope for.
Exactly. Number 4, Twitter has hired the former directing head of gaming content from YouTube, and has suggested publicly that they're looking to expand their presence in the gaming social media space. Now, this is interesting because gaming is kind of synonymous with the internet. Lots of the biggest social media sites, information sites, so on and so forth, have very thriving games communities. You think of Reddit, you think of Reddit Gaming, the Half-Life 3 Confirm memes, Glorious PC Master Race, so on and so forth. You think of that kind of stuff. YouTube. Well, yeah, exactly. YouTube is absolutely one of the strongest hubs for gaming. Twitter, there are a lot of gaming personalities and a lot of gaming news that percolates to the top of that.
But it's not. It's more newspapers. If you want to associate Twitter with anything, I would say more politicians and newspapers than gaming.
See, I would agree from a general sort of all-world round stance, but I'd say that gaming has a very strong presence on it in terms of entertainment.
Gaming people do,
Mm-hmm.
but not gaming. Because 140 words do not lend themselves to gaming.
No, true. But I would argue that in the case of Twitter, gaming people are gaming. Phil Spencer is Xbox. Shuhei Yoshida is PlayStation. The Ubisoft person, who I forget the name of.
I'd say it's more gaming news than gaming.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I mean.
In that it lends itself more to news than it does to anything else.
Yeah. Well, news and personality.
I would say that it is gaming, but gaming from a different angle to the way you're probably thinking about it.
Gaming industry more than gaming itself.
Yes.
But that's kind of interesting, and I think that it's interesting that Twitter is looking to sort of capitalize on that, especially when Twitter's come under fire a lot for their handling of trolls and the general unpleasant atmosphere that exists
Which,
on
of
Twitter a
course,
lot.
Doesn't exist in the gaming.
That's
industry.
hold on, that's what I was about to say. The gaming industry is kind of having a hard time with that as well right now, and it's going to be that could be a real shot in the foot for them if they hire somebody to really percolate and focus on gaming content, but don't actually make it a good platform to talk about games.
Well, I don't know how Twitter. I mean, when I think of Twitter, I think the thing around it's all based is the laconic 140 words, and I have no idea how you could make that more gaming focused, or how you could make. When YouTube makes money from video games, it's from people watching video games, people watching video games with commentary over it, whatever. It's
people making nice, well-produced, good-sounding podcasts that they talk about the ins and outs of.
It's commentary
and
on video
people
games.
who then go and click the like button on those podcasts.
Yes, which you should totally go and do.
Anyway.
So I don't know how you could do that with Twitter. I don't know how a written medium handles that, and I don't know how they do it without remodeling Twitter.
The argument, the cynical approach to it would be you pay people. You straight up pay people to say, look, I've launched a Twitter profile. Wouldn't you like to, you pay people to put news exclusively on Twitter, you do this kind of thing. The non-cynical way, the non-cynical part of me says you make it a platform by which people can much easier spread themselves and their reach and their personality and monetize themselves through Twitter, so that it's...
The only way I can think of doing it would be to integrate it with the other things like YouTube, the other things that do, and more easily, the other things that do gaming footage and podcasts and whatnot, and make it more easy to access and get news about those things but I can't see how they would do that stuff on their own. How they would do the podcast, do the footage, do the things that people come to YouTube to look at.
Mhm.
I can't see how they would do it on their own.
And I will say Twitter has been getting better. I think I've used Twitter for a few years now, and I found Twitter the most enjoyable to use now than it has been in the past few years. But that's using general Twitter. I use it a lot for games because I follow a lot of game-centric people because of what we do. I don't know how you specifically focus down on that and say, here's how we're going to make Twitter a gaming thing, because that kind of happened organically with YouTube. PewDiePie rose to the top because he was popular and because he did a thing that you couldn't find anywhere else. Like, gaming didn't have a TV show, it didn't have a reality, this, that, the other, it didn't have the same kind of mainstream thing that movies had, music had. And so PewDiePie rose to the top quite organically, but that's not going to be organic anymore.
I mean, to go with your cynical line, if you wanted to make money from it, you could try and develop some kind of system that limits. Right now, it's any amount of access to any amount of access.
Yep.
It's as simple as just following a person, and one person can have, for the same profile, between 1 million and 1 followers.
So can I join the dots here, and what you're going to suggest is paywalling certain content?
Paywalling profiles above a particular publicity. I mean, it is very much a monetary bonus having a material advantage having an account with a huge number of followers. And I could see that Twitter would take that, if they were being cynical dicks, take that as it is free now, take it away and replace it with some kind of...
I get the feeling that's very much an extreme potential, but it could work. So anyway, that's Twitter is going to, in some form, increase their range in the gaming space. What that means, we're kind of yet to see, and how it will work, we're kind of yet to see. But
maybe we just lack creativity.
Maybe we do. Maybe we really don't have a good hold on this social media stuff.
Business.
Maybe. Number 5. I really should have found a 6th news story, because this is a damn sad one to end on a Christmas special. So really sorry. Bethesda has confirmed that there have been layoffs at the studio who focused on the Elder Scrolls Online. The ZeniMax Online studio is said to have lost 50 people, although earlier reports suggested that the figure was much higher. In fact, the earlier reports suggested that the figure was around the 300 mark. Yeah, so there's been layoffs. The studio is in... I'm not sure.
It could
I thought I had that information, but I didn't.
It could well be that they lost 300 jobs and therefore 50 people.
The official report from Bethesda have said that we adjusted customer support levels in mid-August by reducing staffing by approximately 50 people. We are disappointed by the inaccuracies in the report of the Connaught, I think I'm saying that right, Tribune, which is what reported the 300. So, if you lost your job, we're really, really sorry to hear it. The Elder Scrolls Online, by all accounts, is a good thing, and nobody deserves to be shafted like that. So, good luck finding a new thing. Our thoughts are with you, and all that jazz. Now, this is the first episode we've recorded in a couple of months because of the way we record and schedules and stuff. So we've missed a lot of news. We missed the Game Awards, where lots of things won things. Kojima wasn't allowed to attend, famously.
We could talk about all the things that he would not be talking about.
We could, yes. And we missed a whole bunch of stuff. So, is there anything that comes to mind to you about the biggest things we've missed? Is there anything that you think, that was a big story?
Not off the top of my head. Probably
Okay.
if I haven't thought about it, but I can't think of anything that jumps out and says, talk about me.
There's been some interesting stuff a little bit here and there. Half-Life 3 keeps cropping up a little bit here and there in the Steam database, and it's probably nothing, but it kind of consistently keeps happening, so maybe there's something to watch out for there.
Well, don't Valve have this curious quality of taking games, chopping them up, and distributing parts of them into other games.
Sort of, yeah. They because of the way Valve's structure works, which is wanky at best but brilliant nonetheless, is stuff can kind of naturally and organically go from one project to another because there isn't so much a business need for it. It's what works.
Well, code
which
is code. It can be taken and moved as.
Yeah, but I mean like the spirit of the thing, the idea, the machinations, the mechanic behind it.
Okay.
And so yeah, that kind of happens anyway. But it's just interesting that how this many years on, Half-Life 3 keeps cropping up to things. What else has happened? Obviously, we had Kojima not being allowed to attend the Game Awards, where Jeff Keighley took an organic unrehearsed section. Kiefer Sutherland had to stand up and accept an award for him, and Jeff Keighley then sort of said, in no uncertain terms, but without the same words, he did a fuck Konami. Yeah, the Nintendo NX is being rumored to come out in 2016, which I don't think anybody's doubting at this point.
What?
So the Nintendo. This is kind of interesting. The Nintendo NX is their next console. Okay. They have as much as said this, but that's not its official name. And from a lot of leaked patterns and design documents, it seems like it's going to be a system that can daisy chain together to get more powerful. So it seems like the controller is a handheld, which you can connect to a console to make slightly more powerful and play games and then take them away. But you can then daisy chain that to another console to make that more powerful?
I have no idea. That sounds... I don't know. It sounds like one of these things that sounds very good in concept, but the actual mechanics of getting it to...
Yeah.
Again, this is an incredibly vague...
if they
speculation.
It is vague, but it does come from legitimate sources being patent offices and stuff that's publicly attainable. If they get it to work, that's really, really incredible, because the actual mechanics of scaling game development as dynamically as you connect more systems is fascinating.
Being able to take processing and split it between different processors, that is hell. That is absolute hell. If they can do that and do a console that would be able to be appreciably more powerful as one, and that would be interesting, and maybe actually might add some much needed power to Nintendo's devices, who are not exactly renowned for their processing strength.
So that's some of the stuff we've missed. We predicted the Hitman delay.
Oh, we did?
We did predict the Hitman delay. I was listening back to one of our episodes while I was editing it and putting it out. We said we could try and predict the news. I bet your Hitman gets delayed, and it actually did. So
well, that one was a fairly safe bet.
That was a very safe bet, yeah. So yeah, that's some of the news we missed. If you think we missed anything else, or you'd like to hear us talk about it, please tell us. But of course now, it is that time of year. Festivus for the rest of us. So we need to talk about Christmas.
Let's talk about Christmas.
Let's talk about Christmas. Lawrence,
tell me, Cameron,
do you have any specific Christmas gaming memories?
Do I have any specific Christmas gaming memories?
Do you have like a Bing Crosby moment where you fade into black and white and think fondly onto...
music plays,
and think fondly back onto Christmas gaming things?
I remember Christmas...
this is the topic of the week, by the way. I should make that clear. Sorry.
I have a big family, so usually Christmas time means trying to get out from underneath everyone's feet. So Christmas usually meant retreating to my room with whatever games I could play. And that meant, I mean, this is one train of thought. I mean, there are so much to talk about Christmas games memories. Are
there any specific games that you think I remember getting or playing that?
I remember playing a lot of RuneScape.
Y'all
remember RuneScape?
Carry on.
The nerd's nerd game. Yes, I remember going into Stefan's room and my brother and playing RuneScape on his computer, and I always remembered the Christmas holiday special events that happened.
No.
I
I remember my one specifically, I was thinking about this and thinking about the things that the games I've played at Christmas, and I remember, I think it was, when did Assassin's Creed Revelations come out? It was 3 years ago, wasn't it?
That was 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yes. I remember the year that Revelations came out. I got it for Christmas. I was very lucky and got it for Christmas. And I hadn't been sleeping well. Like, my sleep pattern, I'd had some hospital things earlier that year, and my sleep pattern was still kind of fucked up from it. So I wasn't sleeping, and I hadn't got around to playing it yet. And it was the day before New Year's Eve. And I told myself, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this game in. I'm going to stay up and play it, and then go to sleep properly tomorrow. Reset my sleep cycle. Mm-hmm. So I sat up all night playing through the entirety of Assassin's Creed Revelations. Finished it earlier than I thought I would. Decided that I should go for a long walk for a good rest of the day to keep myself energized. And that was my experience of Assassin's Creed Revelations. I kind of played it all in one slot, and it was kind of wintry and snowy outside, and
so now it's irrevocably tied up with Christmas for you.
Yeah, it really is, and it's weird because it's like it's a surprisingly Christmassy feeling game. There's like lots of rich colors everywhere, and Constantinople it doesn't feel Christmassy, so to speak, but it's got that kind of warm, sandy glow to it, and
yes,
it's
the kind of Christmas in the southern continent.
Yeah. It feels very Christmassy to me. So yeah, that game's tied up irrevocably, and they fucked Desmond on it, but it was still a really good game. And the other one I really remember is, just to throw us further down the nerd hole, is us on the server.
On
the server.
Oh, the
server.
So
we have a server for Minecraft. We play a kind of persistent online game of Minecraft together. Mm-hmm. And I remember we set it up in September when I finally bought the game, and we kept it going, and we had problems over December getting it working.
Yeah.
But then we got it up and working, and it was we built snow golems for the first time, and I think that was the first time we tried to do a snowball fight on the Sky Farm. I
do, in fact, remember as we were doing this, because my room directly overlooks the drive with these big old windows, and the computer, when it's put, has the big window just in front of it, and seeing the snow falling as we were exchanging snowball fights.
Yeah.
In Minecraft, and that was
quite nice.
That was a cherry on the top.
And I remember, obviously, for anybody who's played Minecraft, you'll know that on and around the time of Christmas, the chests change to presents.
Yeah.
But I had no idea. So I came in. I think we'd gone off and done a thing creatively or whatever. And I came back and found a whole bunch of presents in my base. It was really nice. Oh. Yeah, that's one of mine. How about, have you got any other things? I
do remember a lot of, because I most of the games I got were Christmas presents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember getting Crystal Chronicles, and the music on that game was amazing. And for me, it's now irrevocably tied up with Christmas, because I'm in a choir, so Christmas is a fairly musical time of the year, and just that kind of, I don't know, there was something inherently festive I felt about the theme tune.
I've never heard the Crystal Chronicles theme tune.
You never heard the Crystal? Well, it's not a particularly distinctive one.
Right. Okay.
You can look it up at some point. But that game in my mind is tied up with sitting in the lounge with all the other all the relatives around me, talking and chatting, just sitting on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I can't think of any. This is something that's come up in my mind as well. We have Christmas movies. Yeah. We have Christmas music. We have Christmas books. We don't really have like a traditional Christmas game.
Well, actually.
Oh, okay.
No. A different podcast, not podcast. YouTube series. Hey Ash, what you playing?
All right.
Actually did investigate the idea there isn't really any inherently Christmassy games.
Okay, and what did they come up with?
Well, there are a few.
Okay.
Like Merry Gear.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yes, it's one of those. There's no properly serious ones, in truth. Most of them are more kind of Christmas themed Flash games.
We need a good Christmas game. That'd be nice.
Maybe we should go and write one.
We should. We could do that. I think of Gone Home as well. I think of Christmas Duck from Gone Home. It was awesome. It was lovely. And I think about, and this is an odd one, but I think about playing Borderlands because I think about we were coming back to do our second major bunch of recordings since we launched the show around Christmas time last year, and we were all sad about. We were either playing Borderlands or we were switching the controller around to play Titanfall when we all came back.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and that was really nice because that was the first time that was the first time since EGX and since seeing how the show would get off that we all just sort of sat around playing games and not really being too serious, and it was nice and good fun.
Yeah.
And we keep that we do that when we make the show, but that's pure procrastination now. Any other things that come to your mind?
Not to the top of my mind.
All right, well, those were some of our Christmas memories. Those are some of the best games we've played at Christmas, some of the things that jump to our mind. And it's that time of year. So if you're listening, A, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And B, have a good Christmas.
Yeah.
Be with or whatever you celebrate. Be with the people you love. Go and play good games. Enjoy their company. And that's what you do. Cool. And we'll wrap it out with an indie game of the week. Not a Christmas indie game of the week, as
There are no Christmas indie game of the week.
Exactly. So our indie game of the week this week is Geoguessr. Now, seeing as we're getting all reflective and festive, I thought for our indie game of the week, I would reflect upon the first time we ever did this show. And the first time we did this show, we came back from the studios where we used to record. That makes us sound fancy, doesn't it? We came back from the studios where we used to record, and Lewis opened my eyes to two games. He said, "Have you ever played Cookie Clicker?" And I said, "No, what's Cookie Clicker?"
He's the one.
And
that
he
got you
opened
addicted.
Cookie Clicker, and I've now been playing the same game of Cookie Clicker since he opened the window. It's still going. I have it in front of me. It's kind of Christmassy themed at the minute. So
Are they all kind of? I suppose
there are
there's something
clickable reindeers. There's snow
inherent-
everywhere.
I suppose there's something inherently festive about
Cookies, yeah.
They're just high calorie and
So-
therefore Christmas.
So, Lewis, thank you for introducing me to one of the biggest addictions I've ever had in my life. And if ever my life goes down the pan, I will blame you.
Lewis, you're the enabler.
But the other thing he introduced me to is a game called Geoguessr.
Ah,
Now, Geoguessr is a very cool, very clever game. It's made by a gentleman called Anton Wallen, and it's free online right now, so you can go play it as we talk about it. And here's what you do. Geoguessr is a game that uses Google Maps. And what it does is it puts you, the player, in a random place in the world on Google Maps. So it randomly chooses a spot somewhere on a Google map. And it shows you a world map in the corner of the screen, and it tells you to pick where do you think you are? Where in the world are you? What can you do? So what you have to do is kind of look at the position of the sun, the markings on the road, the kind of wildlife and people that are around you, the kind of landscape you can see, and try and guess where you are in the world. And it's fascinating because it's really interesting to try and go through the thought process of how would I survive if I were lost like this. Turns out I probably wouldn't.
as we'd all expected.
Because I have made some, there was one time when it put me down inside a sea life center in Japan. My ability to work out...
If you were in a sea life center, that would probably...
that is a danger in itself.
Be a huge problem for you.
But it turns out my ability to work out that A, this is a sea life center, and B, it's in Japan, were extremely limited, considering that the main thing you have in a Japanese sea life center is Japanese signs explaining with pictures, this is a sea life center.
Wouldn't you say that isn't Japanese fairly distinctive?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And
You
you'd
would.
think sea life is fairly distinctive as well. I still managed to put the pin totally somewhere else.
I got...
I got sea life center. I thought it was in America.
I ended up thinking that we were somewhere in Nevada, but it turns out that we were actually in Darwin, Australia, because I can't work out what side of the sky the sun is on.
See, but that's interesting though, because when we play it, me and you kind of go to different paths.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is sort of look up into the sky and try and work out where you are based on cleverness. Whereas the first thing I do is like look around and see like, are there any road signs?
If you could
Can
actually,
I read the road signs?
If they actually were at night and you could see the stars reasonably well, then that would be the way to do it.
That
but
would be
they-
cool.
But they usually don't.
Well,
do
Google Maps
that.
doesn't use the
No.
nighttime because it'd be weird if you were clicking through Street View and suddenly it turned to night.
I think it'd be interesting.
It'd be pretty. But yeah, that's GeoGuessr. You can play it for free right now, and I will give you the address for it. Let me type it out in front of me. It's Geo, G-E-O, Guessr, this is where it gets weird, GUESSR.com. Geoguessr.com. You can do all of the world, you can do sections of the world, you can do Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, all that kind of jazz. And
It is limited, of course, to everywhere where there's a road, so you can probably.
that's true. It's limited to everywhere there's a road, but that's pretty much everywhere.
Mostly, yes.
And it's a really, really cool, fun, interesting little thing. So go and have a look at that. Go and have a look at
Enrich yourselves with
Indeed.
things.
With Christmas time.
With Christmas time and brandy butter and various.
We have brandy
comestibles.
butter. I've never had brandy
I've
butter.
never had brandy butter.
What does it taste like?
Alcoholic sugar.
That sounds perfect. Is it like a cream or is it like a butter?
I'd say it's more like a butter than a cream.
See, that kind of puts me off. I don't want to put butter on a pie.
In my attitude towards Christmas pudding and the things that go with it is you don't eat them because you like them. You eat them because your great-great-great-grandchildren will eat them, and they won't like them either, but they will eat them.
Because,
So they're
God damn it, somebody's got to keep this
great-great-great-grandchildren.
doing.
Of course.
Okay.
Right then.
Well, go eat brandy butter. I mean, eat it with something. Don't just eat butter.
Don't
That's
eat it
disgusting.
on its own. That's low calorie. High calorie.
That's low calorie.
That's low calorie. It'll be low calorie if you bring it all up again, which is what you'll do if you'll
Jesus.
just eat brandy butter.
Well, closing out on vomits is as good a thing to close out as anything, I suppose. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this festive Christmas episode special, I guess,
Thing.
of the Games Out podcast. I've been Cameron. That's been Lawrence.
I'm a that. Hello.
You're not a that. You're not a that. But that has been Lawrence.
Mm.
And we will see you very soon for our Game of the Year discussions
Mhm.
because we need to put that arbitrary stamp on something.
Decide that something is arbitrarily the best.
Yep, absolutely. But of course, you would be the best to us. If you would be our Game of the Year. If you would come and have a look at our Facebook page.
Oh, incidentally, because I have to do this because Cameron won't.
Yep.
Why don't you look on our YouTube channel and like and subscribe? Send shivers down his spine,
I
viewer.
hate it. Yeah, come and have a look at our Facebook page. Come and have a look at our Twitter and all that jazz. Come and tell us about your favourite Christmas moments. Come and tell us about how you're spending Christmas. Maybe we can even game together or something. But until then, thank you very much for joining me.
Likewise.
Good. Marvellous. And until next time, the game's up.